You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Amid a deep trust deficit in Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a surprise move, seems to have extended the olive branch with an invite to major political leaders for a meeting on 24th June. The meeting, which will consist of 14 political leaders, also has some former chief ministers on the invitee list, like National Conference's Farooq Abdullah and Omar Abdullah, PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti, and Congress's Ghulam Nabi Azad. This would be the first such exercise to be held between the centre and Kashmir's mainstream political leaders since J&K was stripped of its statehood. What is curious though is that despite the meeting being called, the agenda behind the meeting still remains to be a mystery. And that has left many mainstream parties, leaders and experts with a lot of guesswork on what PM Modi has on his mind. The dialogue between the Valley's senior leaders and New Delhi has remained frozen in the wake of unceremonious arrest and prolonged detention of many political leaders, including those on the invitee list. Furthermore, comments from the Saffron Party's top brass against Kashmiri political leaders, calling them anti-national or dubbing the PAGD alliance as the Gupkar gang by Union Home Minister Amit Shah has of course soured the relations further. Which begs the question, why the sudden move to call for a democratic shutdown? Is it just an optics play for the West, who has been criticizing the centre's handling of Kashmir? Or could restoration of statehood for the erstwhile state be on the table? To discuss this in detail, for today's episode, we spoke with journalist and author of the book The Story of Kashmir and the Generation of Rage in Kashmir, David Devdas, and Srinagar-based freelance journalist Jahangir Ali. You will also hear from People's Democratic Party spokesperson M.Y. Tarigami and People's Conference Party spokesperson Adnan Ashraf. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. The centre has been giving the cold shoulder to Kashmiri political leaders since the abrogation of the erstwhile state's special status on 28 August 2019. But the Prime Minister's invitation is the first indication by the BJP-led centre since 2019 that it is willing to break the ice, and this could be the first step towards conducting assembly elections. Barring local body polls, which include the Block Development Council polls in October 2020 and the District Development Council polls in December, political process has come to a standstill in the valley. After 3 years of the centre's rule, nothing much has changed on the ground in Kashmir. The economy, the health and the education sector continue to be a reason of concern, and the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic has left the state in a degree of uncertainty. In terms of security of civilians and human rights violations, a report by the Forum for Human Rights in Jammu and Kashmir in February this year painted a grim picture, stating that violations of civil, political and fundamental rights of civilians in the name of security or national interest continued between August 2020 and January 2021. Srinagar-based freelance journalist Jahangir Ali says that the abrogation of Article 370 created a political vacuum in the region, where people could no longer reach their elected representatives to voice out their concerns, and a sense of dejection and doubt has been cast across the region.
Political activities have largely remained suspended in Jammu and Kashmir after the Article 370 was abrogated. There were a couple of elections for local bodies in which all the political parties participated, but these elections were marred by the charges of corruption and horse trading and threats being used against the elected members to change their political affiliations. Barring these elections, all the political parties have not been able to do their normal business. They have not been able to reach out to their constituents, and there is a lot of uncertainty about the political vacuum that was created after the Article 370 abrogation.
Earlier, when people had any kind of grievance, they would go to their elected representative and try to get his attention on their problems and get resolution for them as well. But now there are no such representatives in place, and people are feeling aloof. People are feeling very demoralized. People are not happy with the present state of affairs. They want an elected government. They want someone they can hold accountable. The situation on the security front also is not up to the mark. There have been a number of attacks on security personnel this year. At least 13 security men have lost their lives in these attacks or during encounters with militants. In fact, today itself, there was an encounter in Sopore in North Kashmir in which 3 militants, a foreigner among them, were killed. The Director General of Police, Dilbag Singh, he told a press conference that there are some foreigners in Kashmir, but they are laying low. So yeah, the security situation is not what the center had promised when it revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir.
Given the discontentment on ground, there are murmurs that the quote-unquote political scenario in the Union Territory and the future course of action are likely to be discussed in the PM meeting. Now, most political parties have stated in the recent past that they are willing to discuss the process of redrawing constituencies in the Union Territory, with Farooq Abdullah stating that they have not closed any doors or options. But how have the Valley's leaders reacted to the development? PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti told PTI on 18 June that she is yet to decide on attending the meeting. National Conference's Farooq Abdullah is of the same opinion. We spoke with CPIM leader M.Y. Tariqami, who is also the spokesperson for the Gupkar Alliance, on what the alliance expects from the PM meeting. He said that the party has always been open to any dialogue or communication with the centre when it comes to the living conditions of the people of Kashmir, and hopes that it is not just an eyewash or for optics.
As far as the meeting convened by Prime Minister is concerned, we have expressed ourselves time and again that whatever has been done to Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh, of course, on 5th of August 2019 and onwards, is virtually an assault on our rights and assault on the very basic structure of the Constitution of India itself. All of us know that we were provided certain protection to our rights, constitutional rights, political rights, which have been snatched from us. A historic state has been downgraded and divided arbitrarily, without any discussion, without any debate with any section of the population, with any segment of political leadership whatsoever. As far as this meeting is concerned, we don't know even the agenda, but certainly as a political party, CPIM, we have always expressed our view that options for any contact, any communication, any dialogue to discuss the issues which the people in this region are facing, certainly we will not miss those opportunities. And we feel that it's not the question of expectation. The question is that we have legitimate aspirations and we have expressed it in wherever it was possible, and then whether this is the realization of the failure of the government of India, it will be too early to conclude this way. But certainly it is a realization, there is some element of acceptance that something wrong has happened. There are issues about which the public, the larger sections of our population in Kashmir, Jammu, are concerned, deeply concerned rather. So we hope that this opening is not just for photo exhibition. We hope that it is not just an eyewash. We hope, we expect that there must be and there should be some sense of seriousness with those who are holding the power in Delhi, with those who are in authority. That is beneficial, that is useful for us here in this region and the country as a whole. What we are demanding is restoration of the very constitutional rights guaranteed under the constitutional provisions. We want restoration of our historic status that has to be admitted and accepted. That's what we stand for. That's what we will like to express in any forum, wherever we get an opportunity. So it's not the question of anybody's defeat or anybody's victory. It will be, I think, if at all, there is some element of seriousness, sincerity, if there is some amount of outcome, positive outcome of these deliberations, certainly it will be good for the people of Jammu and Kashmir and good for the entire country.
Adnan Ashraf, who is the spokesperson for the People's Conference Party, told the Quint that he hopes that the engagement with the Prime Minister leads to the restoration of statehood of the erstwhile state.
Our party met today in context of the all parties meeting called by the Honorable Prime Minister on the 24th of June. It was agreed upon by all the leaders that our leadership must highlight the pain and suffering of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We will also emphasize to restore the credibility and sanctity of the institution of dialogue. We will express and inform the Prime Minister of our pain and our suffering. And we will hope that this engagement facilitates return to democracy and empowerment of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. It's also time for involving all stakeholders to script a new social contract between Delhi and the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We would emphasize and stress on the need for this dialogue to be positive, decisive, and result-oriented. Apart from these, we would also inform the Prime Minister of the changelessness in J&K since 2019. We appreciate the initiation of engagement process by the Prime Minister himself. We hope and we pray that this change of heart was because of the urge to restore democracy in J&K and empower the people. However, it does seem like the administration over the last 2 years has failed miserably to achieve the objectives set out by the central leadership on August 5. We have seen how in the last 2 years the gap between the people and the administration has widened. We have seen how there is complete disconnect and distrust and mistrust between the people and the administration. And also, as per the latest data released by the government of India, the state has receded on a number of indicators. So yes, while we do hope that the failure of the administration is not the sole reason why this engagement process has started again, but it must have played an important role in arriving at this decision.
Even though most political parties in the valley welcome the move by the centre, the question which remains is why now? Could it be international pressure, or could it be the recent intrusions by China on the eastern Ladakh border, which may have nudged the centre to be in the good books of political parties in the region? India in the past has rejected criticism by foreign governments and human rights groups on allegations that civil liberties have eroded in the country, especially when it comes to Kashmir. David Devdas believes that a less accommodative Biden administration may be a reason on the push for peace in Kashmir.
Well, let's just say that anybody who thought that what happened on the 5th of August 2019 was entirely a domestic affair and that would have no international repercussions was living in a fool's paradise, to put it mildly. In fact, very soon after, within days, the issue came up at the UN Security Council, and a few weeks later at the UN General Assembly. At the Security Council, it was taken up after perhaps 4.5 decades. And China specifically referred to the reorganization of the erstwhile state when it moved forward its troops in 2020 in the Ladakh region. So there's no doubt that the reorganization of the state had international repercussions. As long as the Trump administration was in power in Washington, D.C., the US was sanguine about what India had done. And perhaps the Democratic Party, more than the Biden administration, might be a little more concerned in various ways about things that are happening there. So to that extent, of course, the political process is a good thing and very well worth doing. But I would still say that it's worth doing on its own, for its own sake, rather than just for the international optics.
With the PM's invitation to meet the political leaders, there is also speculation on whether the centre plans to hold assembly elections in the UT, with a discussion on the delimitation exercise expected to come up during the meeting. For the benefit of our listeners, let's first understand what delimitation means. In short, delimitation is the exercise of redrawing the boundaries of Lok Sabha and assembly seats in a region. The idea is to have an equal representation of equal segments of the population and ensure a fair division of geographical areas so that all political parties or candidates contesting elections have a level playing field in terms of number of voters. Now, delimitation of constituencies in J&K has been one of the many points on the agenda of the BJP and the RSS for a long time. A recent report by the Indian Express stated that the Delimitation Commission on 15 June wrote to deputy commissioners of all 20 districts seeking fresh information on several aspects including population density and topography in all the districts and assembly constituencies. But what does it mean for J&K? David Devdas breaks down on what the delimitation process could spell out for the BJP and how it may affect the polls.
As far as the complaint that Jammu has been underrepresented, it is correct. I endorse that complaint. In fact, I've written many years ago, many years ago, that when a delimitation process was carried out last, I think perhaps in the early 90s, the Delimitation Commission had actually come up with two more seats than were given to Jammu and two less seats for the Kashmir Valley. And the governor of that time, an appointee of the center, had said that this will lead to a lot of heartburning in the Kashmir Valley. Let's do it in phases. So increase by a couple of seats in Jammu and decrease proportionately. Because, of course, all the three segments of the erstwhile state, Jammu, the Kashmir Valley, and Ladakh, got more seats in that through that delimitation. Earlier, there used to be, I think, 76 seats in the assembly. After that delimitation, there were 87 seats. So all three got more, but Jammu proportionately got more seats, but not as many as the commission had thought appropriate. Now that process needs to be continued. Apart from that, the government is no doubt eager to give more weightage to the Jammu region because, quite simply, the BJP's base is entirely in the Jammu region. Even the Congress used to, in fact, my complaint used to be that the Congress doesn't try hard enough in the valley because it has this attitude that under 370 the valley should go to Kashmir-based parties, valley-based parties. But in fact, if it just tried a little harder, there were a lot of people in the valley who were willing to vote for the Congress. I'm talking about certain years ago. Now, even today, the BJP doesn't have, although it won a couple of district council seats from the valley, 3 or 4, it doesn't have a base in the valley by and large. So it would naturally want to have more seats in the valley. Now, the problem with the gerrymandering that it might want to do is that the Hindu votes are concentrated in bulk, and its own base is concentrated in a very major way in 4.5 districts of the 10 districts of the Jammu division. This was made quite obvious by the results of the District Development Council polls last winter. The BJP won hands down in many constituencies with twice the number of votes than the next candidate. But in those 4.5 districts, in a lot of the districts of the Chenab Basin, from Kishtwar and Doda and Ramban all the way to Poonch and Rajouri, the PAGD still got a number of votes and even a number of seats. And therefore, if you, on the basis of area, because there are two kinds of criteria that a delimitation commission normally is given. One is population and demography, and of course, on the other hand, area. Now, if you go by area, a lot of the underrepresented areas would be in places like Kishtwar district, which is heavily forested, very large. In fact, that one district is about 2/3 the area of the entire Kashmir Valley. Now, if you were to give many more seats there, it's an open question whether they would be Hindu dominant. perhaps unlikely. There is a lot of talk, a lot of speculation about certain sects and certain communities being afforded more of a chance and perhaps more reserved constituencies. Uh, you must realize that the Gujjar community, which is Muslim community in Jammu and Kashmir, it has reserved status. It is considered a scheduled tribe through an order that was passed in, if I remember correctly, 1992. Now, there is a lot of speculation, therefore, about what kinds of changes might be brought about by the new Delimitation Commission. Certainly, there will be a few more seats for Jammu, to some extent at least, that is justified. And one will have to see the extent to which gerrymandering is done across the Union Territory, the erstwhile and perhaps future state, with regard to different communities, religious as well as sectarian and other ethnic communities.
We will only know more about the meeting and the agenda as we come closer to 24 June. Till then, follow the Quint for the latest news updates on this issue. You can also catch all the latest news by following us on our social media handles. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.